In your own words, how would you explain your style of jiu-jitsu?
Well, you don't have to be strong. You don't have to be big. All you have to do is know the right technique. It's based jiu-jitsu. Gracie jiu-jitsu is based on leverage technique, not on strength.
Now, what changes did your father, Grandmaster Helio Gracie, make to the Japanese jiu-jitsu that was taught to his family?
Well, he learned the basic jiu-jitsu that, let's say, you need strength. My father, being very small and 140 pounds, didn't have the strength. So he pretty much learned by watching my uncle teach, what he learned from the Japanese. And on his mind, he add leverage into the techniques. So he didn't invent a whole new style. He just made it easier. And like he always says, give me the right leverage and I'll lift the world.
Do you think your father envisioned the popularity of Brazilian jiu-jitsu throughout the world today?
That's a good question for me to ask him. But when I came to America, my brother was already here teaching, and I started to teach. And once we create the first UFC, it was just question time. In America, in Brazil, people don't know what's going on. The rest of the world don't know what's going on in Brazil. But in America, anything you bring it to America, the rest of the world wants to copy, wants to pick from here. So once we brought the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, the style, and the first UFC, because my brother is the one who created the UFC, into America, a lot of people first like, oh man, it's gonna be impossible. How can you put two men fighting on TV, live TV? You cannot even fight on the street. You get arrested. How are you gonna put that on live TV? Today's the fastest growing sport in the world, not just in America. Once we did the first show in America, Japan, South Africa have shows all over Europe, China. So it's growing like crazy.
Now, how is the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu that your father, Grandmaster Helio Gracie, you and Sam Marcellini teach different from the styles taught at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu schools that mainly focus on tournaments?
Well, the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu that my father learned, and like most martial arts, Taekwondo, Judo, on the beginning, if you look at the history, they were made for the street, for fighting, for self-defense. But people turn, let's say Judo for instance, into a style for competition, not for the streets anymore. Gracie Jiu-Jitsu is happening the same way. Gracie Jiu-Jitsu was built for self-defense. It's a self-defense art. It's so you can get, so if you get in a fight on the street, for you to know how to defend yourself. It's not for you to beat up or pick up a fight. But with the tournament rules and people wants to compete in tournament, they start to change so much that's become unrealistic. But Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, the one that my father, my brothers, my family teach, that's what we call Gracie Jiu-Jitsu instead Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. The Gracie Jiu-Jitsu is a self-defense style. It's geared towards the street fighting. So I can defend myself on the streets, not in a tournament and trying to score a point. Who cares about a point in the street?
Now, your father, Grandmaster Helio Gracie, still grapples and trains at the age of 94. Now, do you still grapple with him?
I just got back. I was in Brazil about 2 months ago, and I was asking him questions about fighting. What if this, what if that? Just picking his brains. And the old man always gave me good advices, new stuff that he's still studying the style, the art. So it's always good talking to him. He cannot train and roll and spar freely, but he'll get on the mat and teach you a class and show you the moves, and that's what he did, still teaching me new stuff.
Wow. Now, how do you think he's able to still do that at his age?
Never drink, never smoke. Pretty much we live a good, healthy life. So it's still all up there. So it's in touch with the nature. If you see the place he lives in the farm, in the country. So goes to the city once in a while, but pretty much I ask him that all the time. And it's living a healthy life.
Now, you fought Akibono who is 480 pounds, 6'8", and beat him with ease. Now, how does jiu-jitsu enable a 175-pound man to defeat a much larger opponent?
Leverage. It's based on leverage. I'm not there to try to punch him out. If I punch him, he will smile, punch me back, knock me out. So I can't exchange firepower with a guy that big. So I have to be able to maneuver him. It's like jump in the pool. He doesn't know how to swim. I know how to swim. So we just hang on to each other and I jump in the pool with him. If I know how to swim, I'll survive. I'll get out of there. So I know what I'm doing. I got enough technique and leverage. And he was pretty much lost.
Now, what do you feel are the highlights of your career as a Brazilian jiu-jitsu martial artist?
Winning, as a martial artist, winning the UFC tournaments back on the old days when there was no gloves, no rules, no time limit, no weight division. And it's not like today you fight one-on-one. You have to fight 3 fights. Actually, on the second UFC, I fought 4 fights in one night. So that it cannot be done again. It's that page on the book, of the history book, it's done. That's closed. The other one was fighting Akibono. It's almost haven't been done yet, and nobody's gonna do it again. So now my name is on the history book with gold letters, man.
Now, you have trained and taught thousands of people. Can you name some of the students that have spent the most time learning from you personally?
Oof, there's a lot of guys, man. Pat Hardy, out in Texas, been with me for a long time. Buddy Clinton's another one. Greg Thompson from North Carolina. Spencer, the Jason, the all guys have been with me in North Carolina. There's some guys, John Crouch, Alvin. Alvin's actually fighting on the UFC. They're from Colorado. Rob Kahn, he's out of, and John Burke, they're out of Florida. So there's Sam Marcellini, he's over here in California. Evaldo is over here in California. So I've been teaching for a long time. I've been teaching for for about 25 years. So some of those guys have been with me for a long time.
Now, speaking of Sam Marcellini, what do you think of Sam's jiu-jitsu and teaching abilities?
Well, I just finished a seminar, and I based his instructions on his students. So the students were doing the moves very smooth. There wasn't any ego in the class. So all that comes from the instructor. And I'm Sam's instructor. That's why he doesn't have any ego, doesn't use his strength, good technique. And his students are going to follow his footsteps. So he's a very good instructor. I recommend him for anybody.
And how long you been training Sam Marcellini?
Oof, sheesh, about 10 to 15 years, man. Somewhere, he's on the 14, 15 years, somewhere on there. So he's been with me for a long time. I try to come out to his school as much as I can. My cousins come out over here. So, and he's been with all my brothers, taught classes from all my brothers. So the guy's been around for a while.
Now, on average, how much time do you devote to training?
For myself?
For yourself?
If I get a fight coming up, if I have a fight, I'll stop teaching. That's the main thing. Stop traveling. I spent 6 months pretty much on the road, traveling, teaching seminars. If I have a fight coming up, about 3 to 4 months, I'll lock myself down, stay home, and just train. I actually use Sam as a sparring partner a couple times. I mean, because he comes from a stand-up background.
And what do you do for fun or to wind down?
Spend time with my kids, man. Those little ones, what keep me alive today, keep me here today. Done everything I want to do. So now it's just, I'm here for them.
Now, what would be your advice to someone who wants to learn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Like everything else, it takes time. Practice. Over and over. It's not overnight. You're not learning to become a fighter. You're learning to learn how to defend yourself. So have fun with it, practice,